The challenge of the Zeldar. The transmission came through every known communication channel, its message echoing across human space. The voice was deep and guttural, a declaration of superiority wrapped in contempt. Humans, we are the Zeldar. We have conquered 1,000 worlds, shattered empires, and humbled species who once believed themselves invincible. We see you, weak and fragile, yet daring to claim space as your own. We grant you the honor of battle. Resist or kneel. The words carried no ambiguity. This was not a negotiation. It was a challenge issued by the most feared warlords in the universe. The Zeldar, an apex predator species, had never lost a war. Entire civilizations had vanished beneath their relentless onslaught. Their fleets darkened the skies of countless planets. And now, they had turned their gaze toward Earth. Inside the United Earth Defense Council chamber, the silence was heavy. Generals, admirals, and world leaders sat in tense stillness, the weight of history pressing down on them. They think we're weak, Admiral Chen muttered. They think we're prey. President Ainsley exhaled sharply. Then they don't know us. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Still, the question remained. How do you fight a species that has never known defeat? General Marcus Vallon, a veteran of Earth's last interstellar conflict, leaned forward. His gaze was sharp, calculating. If we fight them on their terms, we lose, he said. They're biologically stronger, their fleet outnumbers ours 10-1, and they perfected war over millennia. He let his words settle before adding, so we don't fight them on their terms. Ainsley frowned. Then what do you suggest? Vallon's expression was unreadable. We show them why no species has ever fought like humanity before. Murmurs turned into hushed discussion, but Vallon wasn't finished. He tapped the screen before him, and the room dimmed as holographic images filled the space. They weren't of ships or weapons. They were of battlefields, of cities in ruin, of empires that once stood unchallenged, until they didn't. We don't need to prove our strength, Vallon continued. We need to show them our history. Our wars, our destruction. He pointed to an image of a mushroom cloud rising over a devastated landscape. Other species fight for conquest. We fight for survival. And when humanity fights to survive, we do not lose. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then President Ainsley nodded slowly. Send them an invitation, she said. Tell the Zeldar we accept their challenge. But first, let's give them a history lesson. The Zeldar did not refuse the invitation. They accepted with arrogance, confident that they would witness humanity's feeble attempts at intimidation. High Warlord Virak, a towering figure of muscle and chitin, led the delegation. His warriors, clad in ceremonial battle armor, walked with the assuredness of conquerors. They expected weapons displays. They expected desperate pleas for mercy disguised as negotiations. They did not expect the Hall of War. The facility lay deep beneath the Earth's surface, hidden within the bedrock of an ancient mountain range. As the Zeldar delegation descended into its depths, Virak felt, for the first time in his long life, something close to uncertainty. The human escort, led by General Marcus Vallon, remained silent as they walked through darkened corridors lined with artifacts of war. Then the chamber opened before them. It was vast, impossibly so, lined with holographic projections, towering statues, and preserved relics from thousands of years of human conflict. The walls were inscribed with names, millions of them, etched into metal, stretching into the distance. The air itself seemed heavy with the weight of history. Virak sneered. A museum? A lesson, Vallon corrected. He gestured toward the first display. The image of a vast empire materialized before them. Steppe warriors on horseback, their arrows darkening the sky. Cities burned. Entire civilizations fell. The Mongol Empire, Vallon said, a people who lived for war. Their armies moved faster than their enemies could react, adapting to every challenge. They conquered half the known world before their empire crumbled. Virak studied the projection. He saw the brutal efficiency, the tactical brilliance. He recognized the cold logic of domination. But still he scoffed. They were primitive, Were the great wars, the ones that shaped your species. Valen nodded. The projection shifted. Now, the Zeldar saw fields of fire, cities reduced to rubble. Machines of war rolled across continents, while mushroom clouds rose in the distance. This was called World War II, Valen said. A single conflict that spanned the globe. 70 million dead. Nations burned. And in the end, humanity unleashed weapons capable of erasing entire cities in an instant. The Zeldar warriors exchanged glances. Even they, in all their conquests, had never waged war at such a scale. Varrock's mandibles clicked in irritation. Stories of the past. They do not concern us. We are warriors of the present. Valen studied him for a moment, then smiled. Then let me show you the present. He gestured once more, and the chamber transformed. The Zeldar were no longer in a museum. They stood on a battlefield, projected in perfect clarity around them. Machines of war, human machines, moved with lethal precision. Autonomous drones rained death from above. Orbital strikes reshaped landscapes in seconds. A cold, calculating intelligence dictated every maneuver, every strike. Varrock's arrogance faltered. This, Valen said, voice steady, is what awaits you. For the first time in his long and bloody career, High Warlord Varrock felt doubt. The simulated battlefield faded, leaving only silence between the Zeldar warriors and their human hosts. The cold efficiency of human warfare was unlike anything they had ever seen. There were no songs of conquest, no honorable duels, only calculated extermination. Still, Varrock would not be cowed so easily. He stepped forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over General Valen. Your weapons are impressive, he admitted. But war is not fought through machines alone. Where's your strength? Your warriors? His mandibles clicked. Your people are fragile. You cannot match us in combat. Valen met his gaze without flinching. Strength? You think war is about strength. He motioned to a new hologram that flared to life. It showed the charred remains of a city, its streets turned to ash, its people vaporized in an instant. Above it, a single plane flew away, having just ended a war with the press of a button. This was Hiroshima, Valen said. One bomb, one city, gone. Another image. Nagasaki, another city erased. We don't rely on strength, Varrock. We rely on something far deadlier. Strategy, precision, and a knowledge that total war means no one wins. The Zeldar warriors shifted uncomfortably. They had fought countless wars, reduced planets to ruin, but this was different. This was a species that had nearly wiped itself out in its own wars and still survived. Varrock's mandibles twitched. Your reliance on weapons will not save you. You would never dare unleash such devastation on us. Valen's expression remained unreadable. Wouldn't we? The room darkened again, and a new display flickered to life. An AI-controlled simulation, running a battle between human forces and the Zeldar. The warlord leaned in, watching intently. His forces charged forward, their superior strength overwhelming human infantry for a moment. Then the tide shifted. Humans did not fight fair. Drones swarmed. Cyberattacks shut down Zeldar ships. Railgun fire tore through armor like paper. Human commanders adapted in real time, sacrificing entire units without hesitation to create kill zones. Within minutes, Zeldar formations collapsed, their entire fleet reduced to burning debris. The simulation ended. Zeldar, total defeat. A long silence stretched between them. Varrock growled, his pride warring with reason. This is a trick. Valen shook his head. This is war, warlord. We don't fight to prove our strength. We fight to win. Varrock clenched his fists. He had believed humans weak, yet their history told another story. Their warfare was not conquest, it was annihilation. But he was not ready to surrender. Not yet. His mandibles parted in a snarl. Then let us test your resolve. We take Mars. Let's see how you fight when the battle is real. Valen's expression hardened. You just made the worst mistake of your life. The attack on Mars began at dawn. The Zeldar fleet descended upon the red planet like a storm, their warships blotting out the sun. Thousands of drop pods rained down, crashing into the Martian surface with enough force to shatter rock. Their warriors emerged, eager for slaughter. They found nothing. No counterattack. No desperate human soldiers awaiting their doom. Just the endless silence of the Martian desert. From orbit, High Warlord Vierock watched with growing unease. "Where is their resistance?" he growled. Then, Mars answered. The first strike was kinetic bombardment. Tungsten rods, dropped from orbit at near-relativistic speeds, turned entire landing zones into craters. No fire, no explosions, just instant, merciless obliteration. Then came the drones. Swarms of them, sleek and silent, emerged from underground bunkers. They didn't fight. They hunted. Invisible railgun shots punched through Zeldar armor. Targeting algorithms calculated every movement, every weak point. The Zeldar, the so-called strongest warriors in the universe, were being picked apart by an enemy they couldn't even see. Vierock's mandibles clenched as he watched his forces struggle. "This isn't war," he snarled. "This is extermination." General Valen's voice cut in through an open transmission. "Now you understand." Vierock turned toward the holoscreen. The human stood in Earth's war room, calm, collected, a man who already knew how this battle would end. "This is how we fight," Valen continued. "We let you land because we wanted you to see it firsthand. You thought war was about strength, but war is about control. And right now, we control everything." In the Martian sky, the final phase began. Orbital weapons platforms came online. Lasers, missiles, railguns, everything fired at once. The Zeldar fleet, so sure of their victory, was torn apart in a coordinated, merciless barrage. In minutes, the invasion was over. Silence hung over the war room. On Mars, what little remained of the Zeldar force sent desperate distress signals. There was no response, no rescue, only the slow, inevitable extinction of an army that had never known defeat. Until now. Vierock's claws dug into his chair. He had never feared death, but now he feared something worse, irrelevance. His kind had ruled through war, but against humanity, war was suicide. Valen's voice remained steady. "We don't seek war, but when it comes to us, we end it. You challenged us. You thought we were weak." He leaned forward. "Now, you understand why we survive." Vierock exhaled slowly. His arrogance was gone. His warriors were dead. The Zeldar had learned their lesson. "We withdraw," he finally admitted, "and we will never return." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, the legend of humanity spread, not as conquerors, not as prey, but as something far worse.